Mr. Trump continues his Twitter tear, hitting the New York Times for saying his transition's a mess. Never mind that it's only week 2. In week 2, President Obama was still searching for his birth certificate. I'll never give that up. So Mr. Trump tweeted the paper so much that they responded defending their coverage, to which I add, so. For some, all this tweeting comes off as beneath the president, more the actions of a pilled-up pop star with more piercings than brain cells. But ignore the methods and assess the response. For the longest time, Republicans had no choice but to absorb the onslaught of a biased media. The attacks took all shapes: nightly newscasts by left-wing icons, ambushed reporting by 60 Minutes, lefty films winning all the Oscars, snark fests like The Daily Show, Colbert, and SNL. The right always had to grin and bear it. And if Twitter had existed in the 1980s, you can bet they would have used it against the right as well. So Mr. Trump's response isn't a tantrum, but more a cultural shift, an adaptation of the right stealing the aggressive tactics of the left. It may at times seem childish or a weird way to spend your time as the future leader of the free world. But for now, it's the new game in town. And it's not so bad that finally someone showed up to play. All right, Lisa, week 2. The media's already talking about disarray. Everything's going to hell. It's not even a month.
Right.
Rome wasn't built in a day. I coined that phrase.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, but you're right. I mean, it's the second week. He just won the presidency. So cut him some slack and give him a break. But look, I wouldn't give any credence to what the New York Times and some of these other publications are saying, because they were the ones that were wrong about the election all along. The New York Times was so wrong, in fact, that they had to issue that non-apology apology to the readers, essentially saying, look, we got some of this wrong, which clearly they did. So if I'm Donald Trump, I wouldn't pay too much attention to it, because honestly, this election, as much as it was a rejection of President Obama's policies, it was also a rejection of the mainstream media, because they were the ones, editorial boards across the country were saying that, you know, Donald Trump would be horrible for the country as president. Reporters across the country showed their bias, and so it was a rejection of them as well.
They're still rejecting it. Eric, are these tweets childish or simply just punching back?
No, here's the thing. So Donald Trump has 14 million Twitter followers, yeah. 25 million between some of, or maybe even 30 million between Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. There are people with far more followers. Lady Gaga, Madonna, people have more. Donald Trump uses it more effectively than anyone on the planet. Forget the 14 million. He knows how to sting where he sees the opening and he takes it. And that's what he's done straight along.
Yeah.
Remember, he was naming Lion Ted Cruz, Little Marco. I mean, he finds the opening. Now, New York Times, he sees that they had biased coverage throughout. They're getting burned by it. They're having to apologize, as Lisa says, as is the Washington Post. I think they ran an apology yesterday as well. And he's very smart to pin him down. Now, you got him in the corner. Now let everyone know exactly what's going on. So 25 or 30 million of his followers realized how biased the coverage was against him. I mean, but it didn't stop there. There was quite a bit of negative coverage across the board.
I think it's unfair. It's like when you buy a box of Legos. There are a bunch of pieces, you got to put it together. That's the same with the transition team. Why is it like all of a sudden this, this perception of chaos?
I think it's real. I think that's the problem. So, yes, you can blame it on those nasty people, those awful reporters and all the rest. But I think that when you see it coming from multiple publications, including some conservative, you might think, what's going on here? And I don't think, by the way, it's an indication of guilt or malfeasance on the part of the Trump people. I think, in all honesty, they were slow to get organized. They had to make some last-minute changes in terms of staffing. Chris Christie, who had been head of the transition team, is now gone because of some infighting and the like. So they've had to put more people in. They've had some changes, and they're going through what is a very difficult, as you pointed out, process for anybody to put together the United States, the top of the United States government in a very short time. I will say this in response to Eric. One, I don't think the New York Times or the Washington Post apologized. I think what they said in letters to readers is we have to do a better and more creative job in terms of covering an unconventional candidate.
I could be wrong, but I think the Post did actually apologize yesterday.
So.
I will tell you, though, they're not in disarray. Okay. The reports are there, and they are not in disarray. And wisely, they're taking their time. They promised to drain the swamp. That means it's going to take probably a little bit longer than some of the other transition teams to get everyone in place, because you're not pulling from the same pool of establishment Democrat and/or Republicans. You have to wipe the slate kind of clean. But I will tell you, they're not in disarray.
Well, I think that, I don't know, because I'm not there. I don't know that you're there, but let's say
Where were you yesterday?
I don't know. But
where did you go?
But I will say you get people who are Republicans, like Elliot Cohen, who was a defense official for Reagan, saying, I was going to change tune, and I was encouraging people to go over, and now I changed my tune again, because they're just saying, hey, you lost, you are on the wrong team, and they're infighting, like shooting each other among Republicans.
I want to talk to you, Kimberly, about this huge controversy regarding a steak dinner last night. You know, President-elect Trump ditched his the intimate pool of reporters and went to 21, which is not really a steakhouse, more like an expensive burger joint.
It's not a burger joint.
Have you ever had their burger?
I always celebrate my birthday there. I've been there many times. What are you talking about?
It's a great burger.
It's an amazing restaurant, and they serve a wide variety of food.
Let's just agree.
Fine, maybe you can just afford the burger, but nevertheless,
I think Kimberly needs a free dinner.
$31 burger,
the
correct?
kids, brag.
$31.
It's a 1% burger, right? Only the 1% can afford it.
So
Listen, so he wanted to have some family time.
Yeah.
Then they got it wrong. They called it a steakhouse. I mean, what are they getting right these days? It's like total hysteria. And by the way, is anyone surprised by this? Did anyone think the New York Times or the Washington Post were going to come out and give a positive story about Trump's transition team? No. No. This is exact in keeping with how they treated his candidacy, and now they don't know what to do with themselves. So now they're just like ruffling each other's feather and trying to make a big stink about anything. To me, we're reporting on this every day. It looks like the transition is going very well, and they're making good choices, and there are good quality candidates being considered for important positions, just like he promised.
Well, can I pick up on this for just a second? I also want to talk about something you were discussing with regard to what happened last night at this restaurant, this famous restaurant 21. Let me just say, as someone who's been a White House correspondent, that the press pool is not there to give some prestige to the press. It really is about keeping eyeballs on the most powerful man.
In case something bad happens.
Yeah. I mean, I was there, for example, I remember I was on the Augusta golf course where the Masters was held with President Reagan. Somebody started shooting. They didn't know what was going on. So we get in the press pool, just gets him out of there. And then, of course, there was the Marine Corps barracks bombing in Beirut at that time. So everybody wondered, what's the president saying? Is the president okay? It's important to have somebody there. This was true in Dallas when President Kennedy was assassinated. You needed somebody there. You needed somebody at the Washington Hilton when Reagan was, remember that shooting at Reagan? Because you need to say to people, the president's not laying on the floor. He's in the car.
He's not the president. He's the president-elect, and we have a president.
Believe me, we have a lot invested in Donald Trump at this moment, Eric.
Okay, the thing is, it's the height of power to have a press pool, Lisa, but we now live in an age where you have digital phones and smartphones. Is it that necessary to have the pool there? I mean, if something happened at that restaurant, God forbid, somebody attacked him or something, that would be on... You don't need the pool anymore.
You need Secret Service.
Yeah.
And isn't that how they found out that he was dining there? Was because there was a Bloomberg reporter there that saw and tweeted a picture,
no, the guy
I believe.
was dining.
Yeah, he was dining there.
Because the public is now the pool.
Well, yeah,
people take out their cell phones.
I hate public
But
pools.
it's true. They don't like you either. You
well,
know,
ever since that incident, it does turn the pool purple. Trust me.
But if you're Donald Trump, I mean, I do think that this is going to be a big adjustment for him because, look, he's a billionaire. So he has the luxury and the freedom and the ability to get on a plane tomorrow and to go wherever he wants. A lot of people don't have that kind of freedom. So, I mean, it is going to be a huge adjustment for him to now have a press pool following him wherever he goes, to have Secret Service following him wherever he goes.
So when he shouts out at the restaurant to all the people who applaud the president-elect, and a very significant person as he walks in, and he says, and I'm going to cut your taxes, hey, wait a second, that's news.
Yeah, it is news.
It's news.
But we heard about it.
1%.
But we heard about it because there's the public there.
No, we heard about it because there was, as Lisa said, a reporter was dining. But the other thing to consider is, you know, with a president-elect, you've got to understand that his behavior, who he's meeting with, who he spends time with, is news. Yeah. The American people want transparency.
Well, if you were president-elect, Eric, and you could ditch the press for dinner, where would you go eat?
And they stopped at the door?
Yeah, yeah. If you were getting, where would you go to ditch the press?
I can't. Don't go to that girl's house. Forget that.
I have no idea what that means. I guess what he could just go to Trump Tower. You know? He can go into Trump Tower. They have a couple of great bistros inside, and he can stop him at the door. I don't know. I'm not even sure what the question means.
No, it was a good question. It's basically saying if you were going to ditch the press, where would you go? Would you go to 21? I might go to someplace different. I don't know.
What are you saying, because it's too high profile?
Yeah, I would go someplace where no one can find me.
Remember how
talking about
Mrs. Obama got in trouble because she decided that she wanted to ditch everybody and go to Target? Now, that was odd.
Yeah.
That was odd.
That was staged.
No, I don't think it was staged.
She wanted to look like a woman of the people.
No, I think that was real.
Oh, look, I'm just like you. I go to Target.
I think that was real. But the other thing on this that I will say is, remember when you guys were wearing me out because Hillary Clinton hadn't had a press conference? Well, guess who hasn't had a press conference since midsummer? Like, guess who hasn't talked to the press except for the...
Wait. Whoa.
Wow.
Are you seriously suggesting that Donald Trump hasn't addressed the public?
The press. He has not had... This is a fact. I mean, it's not you and I to debate. He hasn't had a press conference.
He is holding that permanent marker in his...
But I know what he means. He's addressed people. He's addressed people.
Yeah,
but
Twitter. On Twitter.
And the press are not people.
The guy has been on both. He's been on MSNBC, CNN, and Fox for the last 18 months.
Hillary Clinton never came on this channel once. This is like we reverse it. I used to say she used to do. You would say, why doesn't she do a press conference?
We said, why doesn't she do a press conference? Because she won't show up in this building.
What?
Well, she had gone almost half a year without addressing.
That's my point. If you make yourself accessible to both sides, to all types of commentary, then you don't need to do a press conference every week or every month.
Oh, I disagree. I think press conferences.
He's given the ultimate amount of accessibility that we have never seen before in any presidential campaign, and that's a fact. So come up with something else.
Polk was pretty out there, though. You can talk to Polk. Yeah, good guy.
Good throwback.